Thanks for joining us again. So let's head straight into the discussion segment. We have in the studio here Mr. Akintola Temitokwe. He's a political analyst who will be joining us to discuss on, the statement by the president-elect. Elections are over, the healing process begins. Hello, Mr. Temitokwe. Nice to have you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. How was your journey here? Hope not stressful.
Well, it was very calm, unlike what I used to experience, because this is my second time of being here. So it was a smooth ride anyway, smooth ride.
Yeah, thanks for being here today.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Okay, so let's head straight into the business of the day.
Yeah.
The president-elect made a statement that reads, elections are over and the healing process begins. I want to ask you, from your own perspective, what do you think that statement signifies? Does it mean that the election process was not done properly, or he's trying to admit that a lot of things went wrong during the process?
Well, first thing first, I think Tinubu, the president-elect, for being the kind of person he is, trying to be smart politically, because obviously the election was marred with so much violence, with so much intimidation, maimings, killings, and the likes, and which were even contrary to the new Electoral Act, because you don't harass a fellow citizen who want to exercise his civic responsibilities. And there's general outcry against the outcome of the election, and that's the same election you are telling somebody that you want to reconcile with. No, except justice is dispensed, there is no way reconciliation can take place. So judging by what you just said now, I think it is more of guilty conscience within. Because if not, you don't mention reconciliation when a judicial process to redress the error that took place on those two occasions when we had election is about to kick off. I'm talking about reconciliation. I don't get it. So they should just forfeit the judicial process they're about to embark on in order to get a redress? I don't get it. So it doesn't really work.
Let me butt in here. Before we talk about the healing process.
Yes.
What's the disposition of your principal, looking at the fact that he never emerged winner in the just concluded election? Let's start from there. What's his disposition at the moment?
Well, talking about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, yes, the truth is this, he gave his own mind concerning the... You are talking about reconciliation. There is a popular man that works for you called MC Oluomo. We knew what he did. We heard about it clearly. He's here to be arrested. Most of the people who cause the mayhem in Lagos, they're here to be arrested. And you're talking about reconciliation with me? No, that's not possible. You can take it to maybe probably another party. Of course, I'm not the only one who contested. Peter B is there. Maybe you can discuss that with him. Of course, Peter B is not willing to listen to that. So, right now, the disposition of my principal is very plain. Justice must be dispensed.
Now, so how are you guys going about the process of addressing this issue of not giving a fair treat during the election process?
Yes. Somebody said something, before I tackle the question. Somebody said the mistake PDP and Labour Party made was they should have embarked on a total boycott of the election when they discovered that it's no more a level playing ground. So they should have just disembarked that, no, we can't go ahead with the election. Now, secondly, they said they also failed.
Prior to the
election,
or during the election?
Prior to the election. On the very day of the election, if you can recall, normally, in fact, this is the first time I was saying that during the presidential election, 8:30 p.m. was meant to be the kickoff time, and 2:30 p.m. you stopped. The collation can start, and from there, announcement can be made. But you agree with me, in many places in Lagos, election did not start not until 12. Some places after 12. Some places probably where they started earlier, maybe 10.
Sorry to cut you in. Which of the elections are you talking about here? Is it
the presidential election? I just said the presidential election. So that's what actually happened. So in that under that scenario, normally the opposition parties ought to have raised an alarm.
Now, let me butt in again.
Okay.
Let me play the devil's advocate. Are you saying this simply because you guys were not given the win at the, at the end of the day? Is that what you're saying, that you should have embarked when they saw some of those malpractices, playing out during the pre-election period?
I think we are trying to be patriotic. Because if we had embarked on that, Nigerians would have, what's the meaning of this now? We've not even started, Nigerians will still condemn that act. So I think the spirit of patriotism took us up, and then we are like, okay, let's just go ahead, let's give it a try. And we went into it. And it was in the course of going to election, that's why we now discovered that, wow. During the election, we had 3 elections that we did that day. The one of House of Reps,
yes,
the one of Senatorial, and the one of the President. When everything was done under a calm atmosphere, the instruction from the national chairman of INEC was election result will be uploaded right from the polling unit straight to the INEC central server. Am I communicating?
Yes, you are.
Went to ECOWAS, he went to internal committee where he was privileged to mount the podium there. He looked straight into their faces and told them, I'm sick and tired of past election that we have been doing, but this time I'm going to get it right. And that's why INEC they were fortified with enough materials. 400 billion went down the drain. And he told them, we are going to give Nigeria the best election ever. And we believe the president. Now back to the matter. On that very day, in the course of uploading House of Rep result, that one went through. In the course of uploading the senatorial election, it went through. But when it got to the presidential election, there was a stalemate. We're told no network. We're told the server is this, the server is that. And I'm like, what is this that I'm hearing? The server, the network is not connected. But it's still the same network that you use to upload results for House of Rep that went through, senatorial election that went through. So how come the presidential suddenly hanged?
But some guests, some guests we had, in our couple of shows came up and said that networks isn't owned by INEC. It is a service they are trying to get from the ISP, the providers of this service, which in most cases network can drop, which we are all prone to it, as far as Nigeria is concerned. So we shouldn't hold INEC to the juggle to say they are responsible for that.
We should also blame
But my question is, INEC as an electoral body should have had like an alternative, such that if that network they are using at the moment drops, instead of just going ahead to announce result, they would have, subscribed to another network just to see that transparency and fairness is dispensed. So, what, in your own view, what can you say to that?
I love the idea you brought into this now. The INEC, in their own wisdom, for the mere fact that the federal government paid you guys 400 billion, a whooping 400 billion. So there is no room for excuse. Now, let me tell you something. Are you aware that there was nothing like a glitch that INEC was trying to bring out that this really transpired?
How can you prove that?
I can prove it.
I'll
give you the reason why. Now, INEC came with one psycho babu or whatever, or bad legend, cook-up story that their server was attacked how many million times? If you hear the figures,
yeah, they said between 40 million times. I read it somewhere.
I'm like,
attacked by who? Is it your
cyber attacks?
Now you are in my shoes now. Now the same hackers that couldn't penetrate your system when you are uploading House of Rep result, the same hackers you just brought in out of the blues that couldn't hack or probably attack the senatorial whatever when you're trying to upload it, now all of a sudden they now metamorphose like a mutant, and they were in their millions trying to attack where. You see, Nigeria is one funny country. No wonder some people say that things can never be right in this country. It's not a curse. That's the sign. You requested for money, a whooping 400 billion. The first one paid 350 billion. You insisted 400 billion. And the second tranche were transferred to 50 billion. For crying out loud. That's more than enough to give us credible election. Now, this happens to be the worst election since 1999, ever since we opened the vista into the Fourth Republic.
Well,
so there was something like a glitch or glitches that we were trying to, nothing like that. It was just mere manipulations to justify the manipulations of the result and to tamper with the result to favor a particular candidate. We're getting somewhere.
Has your party ever told INEC, give us evidence to really prove this? For you guys to be countering INEC to say there was nothing like that, it's just a cook-up story, have your party been able to say, give us evidence to show? Is there clips to show? You know, is that clip?
Now, if you recall, for us to have access to that, the beavers' machine must be inspected. And what was INEC's position? They said, no, we have some confidential information there that you cannot have access to. So if INEC is saying that, and the court is backing them up, though we are still taking that up, they say, what can we do? But for us to really understand that, now, something happened during the gubernatorial election. I'm trying to take it back to link up that nothing like that happened.
All right.
Sorry, I want to justify that. Okay. Remember what the bombshell that Amici said about this government? That he personally kicked against the appointment of Mahmoud Yakub. Because he was nominated by somebody from Bola Ahmed Tinubu's camp. That language, I'm trying to quote him now. It's a viral video everywhere. Now, they now prodded him further. Why do you have to say that? So you are aware of all this? He said he did all he could. But I'm still part of the government. There's little I could do, but the little I could do, I did. I fought it.
We understood all of these cases are in court, and we just have to allow them play their part until they come up with these informations that we can now start talking about it. But let's talk about the healing process so that we don't, deviate from the subject, of the matter. Okay. Now, how possible do you think this can be embraced by all parties? Now, looking at the healing statements that the president-elect has announced, how visible do you think this can be?
I'm afraid. I have to say this. I'm afraid. God have mercy. With what I've seen so far, the presidential, the gubernatorial election, which I can call it nothing but a big ruse, a sham. I don't see how the reconciliation process can take place, even at the law court, if eventually they still declare the president-elect now as the president, because of what eyes have seen. Just like what somebody said, what I've seen cannot be unseen. It's a cliche, so it's just so it's painful.
So if your party now is not willing to shift grounds to say this healing process must commence, what is the likelihood, of the reactions that could be coming from your party and other parties who were also not given a fair treat during the presidential election?
It's very simple. We can't fight the system.
As alleged.
We can't fight the system. If eventually they give it to him and he's installed on May 29, we have no choice than to keep the opposition of playing the opposition and fighting the government. And let me assure you one thing.
How do you do that?
Opposition is normal. When you're in opposition, it's just like what APC did to PDP. They were in opposition
are you saying you're going to frustrate the effort of the president?
Well, normally, opposition is this. When you say fight, normally we keep them on their toes. When I say fight, it's not actually on the aggressive side now. We force them to do the right thing. Because normally, it is a general belief that government don't always want to do the right thing. So right now, we now be on the side of the masses to fight the government of the day. I think that's what we do. But definitely we can't.
Okay, my colleague has something to say.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Temitope, I want to take you back to saying fighting the government. Okay. When you say fighting the government, I know your principal also contested so he can make Nigeria a better place for you and I. Yeah. But you say if you go to the tribunal and you can't reclaim your mandates, you'll come back to fight the government. Yes. And the president-elect here is extending a hand of reconciliation, like, let's work together to make this country better. Yeah. Don't you think that's enough reason for your principal to consider, since his intention in quote, was also to make Nigeria a better place. Now, Tinubu is trying to call for national unity to help the country, to see how he can extend his hands to them to make it work.
Okay.
And you want to fight the government. Don't you think it's also going to affect we, the citizens?
I think there is need for us to contextualize the usage of words here. You know, I try to explain the meaning of fight the government. Fighting the government on behalf of the masses so that the government can do the right thing. It's just like a pressure group.
Oh, okay.
Pressure group keeps the government of the day on their toes. We used to have them in those days before the government choose to bury them now with money or whatever. All the ones that are very stubborn, they buy them out or they chase them out of the country. So fight the government is not on the negative side, but on the positive side, to keep them on their toes, to do
the right
what
thing.
they promise the people. So that's the fight. Now, talking about my principle, now how do we explain beating a child? You beat a child to the extent that, wow, the child can even testify, man, this is rebeating, and you are trying to put your hands to cover his mouth not to cry. It's not possible. And if my principal feels he's being cheated, which is glaring to the people, and the person who cheated is now trying to talk about reconciliation, I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, now let's move a bit away. We know your principal has headed to the tribunal.
Absolutely.
How strong is your faith in the judiciary system of the country, looking at how the judiciary system has depleted? Wow. I would like to use that word. So what's your faith? Do you really think the tribunal are going to deliver his mandate to him? Somehow.
Okay, good.
That's if,
okay.
in quote,
okay,
they are not manipulated.
Now, somebody was saying, the judiciary, I've lost faith in the judiciary.
Yes, a lot of people are saying that. That's why I'm throwing the question at you.
But can I shock you?
Go ahead.
Something happened yesterday. I think it's from the U.S. government. They were trying to
sorry, let me butt in here. I apologize for that. Let's just go on this break, and then when we come back, we'll have you air your thoughts to us.
Thank you.
Let's go on this break now. We'll be right back.
Okay.